Yeah, good evening, Navika. Now, please give me a couple of minutes because it's quite technical, and I think I've been listening to this very nice question and answer session you've had with Dr. Arora. And he's quite right in one aspect, but I would say that I would go with what you are saying and what Tessie is saying and what I've been saying for the last in fact, 2.5, 3 weeks. I think it sometimes, it always pays for a scientist to be guarded, to look at all the data before him or her and then make a decision. But in times of pandemic, especially when vaccines are a scarcity, especially that now the government has removed the 2 layers of guardedness that it had with the emergency use authorization of the vaccine, even allowing Pfizer without a bridging trial. I think we have to be very dynamic and very active. So I would say that I do understand what Dr. Arora is saying, that whole data was heterogeneous and the real data only came in April. But, I think by January, certainly by February, we should have extended the gap from 4 to 12 weeks. But can I please take a couple of minutes because it's very important. You've asked all the scientific questions, but there's one scientific question that people haven't answered, which is that isn't it very strange that when you give a booster out here, instead of increasing the efficacy of the vaccine, it is actually decreasing it, which is very unlike what happens with other vaccines. For example, with Covaxin, if you give a booster after 4 weeks, it increases the efficacy. So why is it happening that in the case of Covishield, you're actually decreasing the efficacy by 20 to 30% when you're giving a booster? And actually, Navika, just give me a minute because many people are asking this question and no one's answered it. So let me do that. I think the crux of this, the reason is the nature of the Covishield vaccine itself. Remember, Navika, it is not a whole inactivated virus like Covaxin, but a live virus where a chimpanzee adenovirus is delivering the SARS spike protein or SARS spike that when expressed inside our cells will make the spike protein and our immune system will then make antibodies against it. But the thing is, our immune system makes antibodies against all foreign things that it made us. And therefore, we will make antibodies even against the adenovirus carrier. What this means is that when we give the second dose after 4 weeks, our body already has the antibodies against the adenovirus, and so they will destroy it before it can deliver the SARS spike DNA sufficiently and unimpeded. A longer gap between doses would mean that the innate immune machinery as well as the IgM antibodies we have made against the adenocarrier would not be present in large quantities, and therefore this would allow the second dose adeno delivery to work properly. Sputnik, Navika, that is also an adenovirus-based vaccine, has a clever solution around this problem. It uses a different adenocarrier to the second dose, so that the second dose adeno would not be destroyed by the antibodies we've already made against the first dose adeno. The issue, of course, with Sputnik is that both doses have the human adenovirus, so we already may have natural antibodies against it because we are constantly exposed to these human adenoviruses, unlike in Covishield, that is using chimp adenovirus that doesn't infect us normally. That said, Sputnik, which is going to be used in the coming week, the efficacy is very good, as good as Covishield, so it's a minor fix. So now that we've explained the science very briefly to why it is very important in pandemics, Navika, just 10 seconds, for people not to be guarded. If you remember, and that goes for opposition as well, remember how they were crying that the phase 3 results of Covaxin aren't yet out. Why have you given it emergency even though it was within the law? Now they want more of Covaxin. So when you have a pandemic, it's a very dynamic situation. The government not only has to act week upon week, even hour upon hour. So when this Lancet data came and UK revised its guidelines and increased the gap from 4 weeks to 12 weeks, we should have taken at best not more than 1 week to revise our own guidelines. We would have saved millions of doses of vaccine that we could have given to first individuals so that they could have saved lives there. Remember, the success rate against COVID post-vaccination, according to ICMR, is 99.98%. 110 million people given first doses, only 21.
Absolutely, Dr. Ranganathan.